Welcome to another Cougarland podcast. 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 I'm so nervous. Podcast. I'm kidding. Here with Terry Peplinski. Well, you have a new last name now, Terry. I'm sorry that I.
Yes.
Terry Dunn.
Dunn.
Good Irish name, it sounds like to me. You know?
English.
English? No, they have Irish Dunns too, or they just left England and decided to become Irish. Could be.
You know, they kind of blended together at some point in time, I think.
Right? So are you in Florida right now?
I am. I live in Tallahassee.
Okay, it's a popular spot. I mean, a lot of Cougars have migrated to Florida, Vicenza Cougars. But I'm gonna say, like, we've talked a lot here and there, and right now you're going through some stuff. We're actually talking to you, and you've been tested with the COVID. I don't know. Normally wouldn't put that out there, and I can always take that off if you want later. But to see somebody surviving is actually good. Someone doing well. I like that.
Oh yeah.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
got tested. I tested on Friday positive. My husband tested on Wednesday positive. So yeah, but we're good. I don't even feel like I have a cold.
Right?
Right?
It just feels like Florida. It feels like It's hot and it's humid outside. It feels the same.
There you go.
Right? Oh man. So your dad was in the Navy. He worked at SCB. I worked with your dad. I didn't get to know him that well. He seemed like a kind of angry guy with a mustache and a black outfit. Dress blues, we would call him, right? Not that he was angry, but he's like very busy when I would be there. So I was working with Cantu more so than your pops. When
my dad do a lot.
What did he do? What was his job there? What did he do at SCB?
He ran the radio and television show. He was the enlisted man in charge. He wasn't the officer in charge, but he was the enlisted man in charge. He oversaw everything. I remember being at the house and the radio station went off the air because we would listen to it at home, and we lived out in the middle of nowhere. We didn't live in Bellagio, and it's not coming back on. There's no music, and there's no music, and there's no music. My dad was having a fit. He had jumped in then because we didn't have phones. We couldn't call. He couldn't call and say, "Where are you?" Jump in his car and drive down to SEB, and all of a sudden the music would come back on like 15 minutes later. I guess they went to the restroom. I don't know what they were doing, but I'm sure it wasn't a happy thing. So yeah.
Halfway to post in your car, in your Fiat, whatever you're driving over there. You guys lived out in Cavazzale near Mark Parkins, so yeah, it wasn't exactly right next to post. It seemed like 50 miles. Truth is, I looked at it on a map. It's like 7 miles, but it seemed like 50 miles when you were a kid. You know.
I lived in Monticello, Conforto, which I guess is near there. I don't remember. I just remember. Well, I went back there last year and took my girls there, and it was a pretty long trek. Still, we had the last bus left to my house at 8:30 at night, so we had to be downtown at 8:30, or we had to find another way home. But the MPs were really good because you tell them you missed the last bus at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And they would drive you home. So I use that a lot. Yeah.
That's actually a good little system. I'll have them give you a shout out on SEB tomorrow if you give me a ride home today, sir. Hey, yeah, Corporal Jackson gave me a ride. No, I could see that. For me, I love television because when I came there before you guys, we had no TV station, so we had Italian TV, and that's how I learned to speak Italian. So first, we used to have cartoons. We'd have Popeye, of all things, the sailor, which I later became a sailor. There was telling signs that I would become a sailor, unbeknownst to me, like your father is a sailor, right? My mom, the first G.I. Joe she bought me was Sailor G.I. Joe, right? And then later, I come to Italy and we're watching Popeye, and it's in English. And then the next year they learn dubbing and it's in Italian. So yeah, like, well, I do like it. I like it 40% of what I used to. But then you get used to the Italian, and I had Italian neighbors, you know.
I had an Italian friend. His name was Silvano, and he was a little older than I was, but he wanted to learn English. He spoke it very well, but there were certain words he didn't know, like the word ditch, things like that. So he had given me a ride to Bellagio, and on the TV was the Bill Cosby Show.
Mm-hmm.
Now they had that in Italy in the Italian version, Silvano was so entranced with Bill Cosby's voice, because you know he has a special voice. Bill Cosby does, just the way he says things and stuff. He was just enthralled. Yeah, we had to sit and watch that whole thing because you couldn't get him away from the TV. It was pretty exciting stuff for him.
It's funny when you learn another language. Like, do you come learn American? You come from a foreign country, let's say Yugoslavia, and you land in the States, and you're learning American English from Buford T. Justice, or you know what I mean, or you land in Boston and you like pack the car in the yard. And everyone's like, huh? You come back, they're a little confused. Like, what? You know, our American accents are nowhere near as bad as different as Italian, not bad, but different as the Italian dialects. Like, they have so many variations. You go to Naples, you won't even know what they're saying. You go to
Dami Luna Chica was the one that I used a lot. And you know, my Spanish, learning that, I'm asking you to give me a girl. That's what give me a girl. And that's not what I meant.
I will take 2 girls, please, and some tomatoes. What? What are you talking about? Well, you're a Navy kid. Now, were you guys traveling with your pops all over the world before you get to Vicenza, or were you guys mainly American schools and then let's go overseas with Dad?
When we were overseas, we were in, you know, military schools. I started school in the Philippines, and but then we moved to Great Lakes, Illinois, and Virginia Beach, with little California thrown in the mix, and those were all public schools. I went to, you know, right outside Chicago, but really bad area, I'm sure now. And Virginia Beach was American school. My dad worked in Norfolk, and then went to Italy. So
was he becoming a boot camp instructor? Was he being a drill instructor? And when you went to Great Lakes?
He's, you know, he's journalism. He in Vietnam, he was a photographer for the. Okay. That's when he started. Was right before the Vietnam War, and when I was little, me and Kenny were born on the little trips back to the United States. He actually met my mom in Spain. Her dad was a sailor, and they were stationed in Rota, Spain. And my dad was the sailor stationed in Rota, Spain. So she was the high school person marrying the GI or sailor. Wow. And we just kind of like moved all over the place. But my dad was stationed on land. He never got stationed on a ship because he was in journalism. He did the photography, and then he went to work for the newspaper, the Stars and Stripes in Great Lakes, and then went into broadcasting. He was DJ over in the Philippines. So he did the whole gamut of journalism, and then ended up running SEB. And then when we went, I moved back to the States, but he went to Indianapolis after that, and he taught journalism at school up there in Indianapolis.
That's pretty cool. So, like me being a sailor, I've been to the Philippines. That's a big contrast to Italy. That's the jungle and the beach, and you know what I mean?
No, I was young. I was kindergarten through 2nd grade there. My brother Mikey was born there, and all I remember the housing area. I remember the wild boars raiding the trash cans. I remember the monkeys crossing the street.
The monkeys.
Yes, the monkeys. The dad would step out and stop the traffic, and the babies would go across, and mom would go across, and they'd jump on your windshield if you didn't stop, beat the windshield. I remember that. I don't remember anything really about downtown. I just remember the jungle on the bottom of the hill at the housing area. It's pretty much, I just went to the housing area in school.
Were you based in Subic Bay?
Yes, Subic Bay.
That's where I went. Yeah, that's a nice base. They have their own little private island you go to where they have like their, you know, enlisted club, kind of like a little eatery over there. But yeah, I remember this. You talk about the monkeys, and yes. This is a funny thing. So our ship would park there, and the monkeys, they're like, they would tell the junior enlisted guy, hey, go over, take out the garbage over by the forest, and the monkeys would be waiting up there with coconuts, and they would hit you in the head with like 80-mile-an-hour fastballs if you weren't careful of coconuts. Yeah, they were dead accurate, like a pro baseball player. So that was.
And they had these lizards. They were huge. They were the size of an alligator. Mm-hmm. And my neighbor had caught one because we weren't allowed to kill anything because the jungle was right at the bottom of the hill. And he actually put a dog collar on it and tied it to his clothesline pole. And so it was chained up like a dog would be to your clothesline pole. And us kids, we thought it was so cool. So we went over there before school and we were looking at it and we were making it stick its tongue out at us.
Mm-hmm.
And was sitting just out of reach of it because, it's kind of scary. We got on the bus, went to school. We came back, went to bed. We saw it again, went to bed. We woke up the next morning. It had uprooted that clothesline pole, taken it down, knocked down the chain link fence, and had dragged that clothesline pole down into the jungle.
You're talking like one of those dragon lizards, those serious.
I don't know what kind it was, but it
like
was
an iguana,
huge.
but bigger than an iguana.
It was like a gator. It was the size of an alligator. That's the closest thing that I can compare it to, but it was a lizard. Yeah, they were waiting for the, game wardens to come take it away because you aren't allowed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't allowed to kill snakes or anything over there.
Well, I know we're from Vicenza, but I do have one more PI story. They used to have to call the shore patrol because if you were going to the Navy hospital that was up in the jungle, the monkeys would get in front of like the equivalent of the Villaggio bus or the medical bus and like sit there and like, with sticks, like, and coconuts, like ready to throw down. They had to scare them away with they were like little, protesting monkeys. They would like, this is our land. We're going to take over your bus. That's what people don't even realize. That's just crazy.
Yes. Monkeys are mean.
So you guys, you went to Vicenza. You had your brother that was known for his golden locks. And did you come together with Kenny or after or before?
We came at the same time. It was February of '82. The reason I remember it was February of '82 is because I was a sophomore and I had my first car date boyfriend before we left for Italy. Yes, he had a car and we started dating. He was a senior.
Big timing.
And I found out the day before Valentine's Day that we were leaving and going to Italy. I was devastated. I didn't. It wasn't like I was moving from Virginia to say Georgia or California. I was going across the ocean. Yeah, not every.
You're going to the moon, the boot.
I was going far, far away. It was pretty heartbreaking. So I know it was February because it was right after Valentine's. We left like the week after Valentine's Day. So the Valentine's Day was a pretty big thing for me, the last one.
Yeah, those things, those little moments like, can I just have this moment? I just want this. This is all I want. No, that's where you're at that age. Like, I'm finally becoming myself. I need this marker. I get it. I understand.
So we went there and I think we exchanged like 2 letters, maybe 3. He ended up joining Airborne. He went Airborne, and I begged him to get stationed in Vicenza, but it didn't happen while I was there. So, and I lost contact with him.
That's what would happen back then. If you had Facebook, maybe that would have sustained.
Right.
But then again, back then we had very narrow choices. That was we would live life like, this is destiny. This guy flirted with me at the 7-Eleven. This is when I knew I met the guy. That's when it happened for me, right? As a woman.
Right.
Or a guy like, she likes me. That means it's supposed to be. Like, nobody is giving any forethought, like, maybe this person's a little freaky, a little nuts. Maybe I didn't notice that they had their pants on backwards. I was just so desperate to be accepted. That could happen too. So, yeah, our choices were like, oh, it's destiny. We will ride this one out forever, like in the movie. All the movies at the time were kind of pitching that, that was the storyline. Now we have movies about divorcees and crazy struggles as a midlife crisis, all kinds of stuff that was not being pushed back then. Back then it was like, get married, have a family, and be happy. And that was it forever and ever and ever. But we're all on the other side of knowledge now.
We are.
Yeah. I've been married. This is my 3rd marriage. So,
I'm on my second.
Not bad.
My first one lasted I got married in 85, and I got divorced in 2001, and then I got married again in 2004.
Okay. They didn't want to leave you off the market very long. They're like, this woman needs to be married. This woman needs to be married. No, she's not.
I like being married, so
Yeah. It works. You know,
I like having her come home too.
Yeah, I'm happily married. I talked to my single friends during this COVID time, and a lot of them are kind of like annoyed by it a lot, by being single. And some people wish they had met somebody. But then again, some people are making accelerated choices, circumstantial choices, like, oh, it's the end of the world. Well, I never looked at you before, but let's get married. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? All I can tell you is he gave me the cooties, because he gave me cooties. So don't be kissing anybody out there. All you married people, be careful too.
Don't kiss her husband so he brings cooties home. It's not cool.
Yeah, it's not. Cooties. It's true. It's true. My mom told me that, like in kindergarten.
Right.
True.
You had you just posted some great photos, on the Facebook page. I can actually bring those up. We can look at those. You can kind of tell me what you recall from those. They've been getting a lot of hits.
Monkeys and the horse. I remember. I think Sharon. Is it James Greenwell?
James Greenwell. Yeah. I'll find them.
And Nina, I think was her name. That was my very first trip. My very first.
Here we go. Let's start here.
Oh, that's a trip to Greece. That was the teen club trip right there.
Roxy, Pam, and Tabitha, right?
Yeah. That was a teen club trip. We went on to Greece. That was one of those ones where you had to raise the money, and then people didn't show up to raise the money. They got kicked out, and there ended up Mike. I think his name is Mike, is in that group too. There was only 5 of us that ended up going. There he is. Is that Mike?
Mike? Is he in our school or is he another?
He's from our school.
Okay, that's Mike.
The 5 of us ended up getting to go. We that trip was kind of interesting. Lisa was our teen club director, and I liked her a lot. I spent a lot of time with Lisa, and we ended up going to Brindisi via train to catch the boat, and the boat that we were supposed to go on broke down. And they were telling us that it would be like a week before we could get onto the boat for them to get it fixed. And Lisa was like, "Yeah, no, we've got to be in Greece. We got to go now." And they refused to put the money in to get us there, or to transfer us to another boat. So Lisa had to pull a little money from like the food money until she could get a hold of the travel agent that set it all up to get reimbursed, and it was just a big fiasco. But we ended up getting on another boat. We didn't have seats because she had to pay. She could only pay for deck space. She wanted not to spend all our money.
Mm-hmm.
So paid for deck space and
stowaway class, not even economy, stowaway class.
We were standing on the deck and there was a storm. It was terrible. And I was so seasick. Oh my gosh, because the boat I ended up going down to where they had seats that were like airplane type seats.
Mm-hmm.
I went down into that area and laid down on the floor between the seats because I was just so seasick. So I get to the other side. I think we were supposed to catch a train or a bus, but we missed the bus because we were on the wrong boat. So we ended up having to take a train, and we took the train to a bus. And that bus, Lisa's having to fork out money for all this because it was all prepaid for, and now she's having to fork out more money for this. Thank God there was only 5 of us on the trip. The bus ends up stopping in a little town for lunch, and we get out, and there's a bunch of old Greek men. It's a little Greek restaurant thing.
Mm-hmm. Yasu. Yeah.
They liked Roxy, the little Greek men, because they retired really early over there. They were wanting to buy her from us. So they're offering us money.
How much for the lady? Yeah, okay.
She's so cute. She's so little. They want to buy her. It's pretty funny. So yeah, then we ended up not making our last connection, which was the teen club guy who was picking us up from the train station. He's supposed to be we're at the bus station now. And it was a big fiasco. But we ended up getting a bunch of money back for that. And
did the old guy try to trade you some like goats and souvlaki for Roxy? What was the deal?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I don't know what they were offering money. She's so cute. We want her. So yeah.
How funny.
Yeah. So we ended up making it, and we had a really good time. We went windsurfing while we were there. None of us knew how to windsurf. The hotel was renting it. We go out. We're trying to windsurf. Now the beaches in Greece in Athens are a little different than the beaches in Italy. It's coral.
Mm-hmm.
It's coral bottom.
And those sea urchins to stab your feet.
We're trying to pull these things up. We've all five of us have rented these windsurfers, and we're trying to get them up. Yeah, they aren't coming up. We get the sail up, and we fall over. Climb back on, get the sail over. We are drifting further and further and further and further out into the water. Finally, I'm getting so far out that I know I'm not going to make it back if I don't head back right now. I've got to head back. So I start swimming. Everybody starts swimming. We're leaving the windsurfers. We are swimming to shore. Because every time you fell off to get back on, it's cutting your feet. That coral is cutting your feet to get back on the windsurfer. Yeah, we ended up leaving the windsurfers out there. The poor guy, he had to swim out and bring each one of them back.
Oh my gosh.
Further and further and further out to the thing. Oh, and one of the other podcasts they mentioned, Vern. Vern was the chaperone on that trip. One of them. He was the assistant teen club director. And at the end of the thing, Pam, Tabitha, and I had bought a whole bunch of souvenirs from the gift shop at the hotel. The hotel was actually really great. We bought a whole bunch of souvenirs. So on our last day, to thank us, the souvenir shop packed us a bag full of had wine and crackers and cheese, and it was like a blue. I still have the bag somewhere, I think.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
A blue bag. It was full of snacks and stuff for our trip, and they gave it to us for free, to thank us for spending all that money in there. And so we get on the bus. Vern confiscates the wine.
Oh yeah.
He confiscated our wine. Dag nabbit.
Vern.
Like, the whole time, Vern stole our wine.
I mean, Vern had some ulterior motives. Vern was not perfect. We could dig more into Vern. That is a dark chapter. I'm kidding. But I mean,
he was just an assistant when I was there. So Lisa was there.
Lisa was responsible. Vern was irresponsible. Vern was trying to be like, I don't know, over authoritarian. And I'm like, dude, you're just an ex-Navy dude. Go get a grown-up job. Why are you managing a teen club? You know, that was my, I'm like, dude, I don't understand. I could see, you know, the woman did a better job at managing the teen club. They had a better vibe. They could more empathy. They knew and he thought he was going to be like, you know, the principal part 2. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the principal from the school, but at the teen club. Like, dude, get over yourself. You're like a GS4 or something. I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. He was there. He was part of the background. Not everybody rubbed you the right way, and some people were rude or they did things at the moment that everybody remembers. But there are the good times. It's like the Navy. They say you join the Navy, and you're gonna forget scraping the side of a ship and all the rust and the heat, and you're hungover, and it's the most horrible day of your life. All you're gonna remember is like, remember we went to the island, or the day that I've gone 2.5 months with no days off. You know, just straight work, 7 days a week. You know. But you remember the good times, and Vicenza has more good times that way, I think. You know, when you look at it. So you get to know the Italians. Did your dad take you guys traveling a lot, or did like you and your brother just shoot out on your own?
The only thing me and my brothers went on was, I think it was our second year there. My dad took us on a tour. It was a Hitler tour through Germany. That's the only trip I went on with my parents. My parents kind of did their own thing and left us at home alone. My parents had 3 kids, me, Kenny, and Mike. So funds for all the trips. There was a lot of trips in when I was there. They broke it down that they were only willing to pay for 2 a year for each one of us. So that's 6 trips that they were paying for. So we had to pick and choose our trips, on which ones we wanted to do and which ones we didn't. So yeah, I did. That's why I did the teen club thing and raised the money. It got me another trip. I don't know if you can hear that. It's storming here.
Wow, I heard that a little bit. Yeah.
Did you hear the thunder?
Hey, I hear the thunder. It's the Cougar podcast. That's why.
It's the band, the rain from the hurricane.
Wow. Yeah. I've not lived in a hurricane area in forever. We live in an earthquake town, but rarely. I don't live in a tall building in San Francisco, so I'm fine. But it's looking at those times, limited resources. It looked like some kids get to do everything and you only get to do so much. We all felt that way.
Right.
I was talking to Mark Parkins, and his dad was so generous, and but he was very smart at his shopping. And it was funny because we would go to his house, and in the early 1980, I think it was, they had a pinball machine. They had a real arcade pinball machine. Like, to me, that was wealthy. But then Mark was like, yeah, but Dad wasn't buying me new shoes every day, which I love his dad. It's funny. It's like, he's like, I go, yeah, but I thought you were rich. I go, yeah, I was thrown off by the pinball machine. They were doing pretty well. They were not poor by any means, but certain priorities, if I didn't have something seemed twice as nice if I saw somebody have that. Does that make sense?
Right.
Right.
Oh, no, I did a lot while I was there. I mean, I did, Florence and Rome and all that. But the only thing I went with my parents was that one trip to Greece. It was a month-long trip. Or Germany. We went through Germany. Did Dachau and all the Eagle's Nest. And we did do Neuschwanstein, Innsbruck, Austria.
I like Innsbruck. I skied there. I love that place. Went there on a teen club trip myself. I get to go quite a few trips, but I lived there longer. So,
right.
If you don't get them all in 1 or 2 years, you might get them over the years, and one might fall in your lap. My parents liked to travel. My mom loved art. My dad took us camping all over Europe. We had a camper, so that's how you could do it really cheaply. You could do it affordably. So we did all over Italy, Spain, France, not all over France, but part of France, Belgium, Germany. I mean, just Switzerland, Austria, all these places, And then I went to Greece on my own with the teen club trip, which was amazing. I love the food. I love the beach, but we went there in March. So, and people were still getting heat stroke in that heat that they had in Greece, 113 degrees.
I didn't care for the food too much. And I got to tell you, we had gone to a restaurant, and me, Pam, and Tabitha, and I'd ordered shrimp. Now, I'm American. My shrimp don't have heads on them. They had those shrimp were live, like in the lobster cage. They have those little eyes on top of their, sticking up on, no. I asked the guy if I could pay him to cut the heads off and not serve them on my plate. And he said, no, you got to pay by the pound. I said, no, I'm saying I'll pay the poundage plus extra if you cut the heads off. He said, sure. Yeah, no, those shrimp came out with those heads on. Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to be sick. Pam had to cut the heads off, and then she scraped them off down under the table so I didn't have to eat them because that was disgusting.
Well, I'm sure the same would be if you go out for a burger. We're going to give you a burger. We're going to start at the slaughterhouse and then work our way into the kitchen. Might reverse some people's eating habits too. But
yeah, I have a friend from Malaysia, and everything there is served with a head on. In America, nothing is served with a head on. You buy a fish and the head's cut off. So we don't want our food to look at us. We don't do that. Our food doesn't look at us.
Yeah, so that's how it is. But what did you think about it? How was the culture shock for you adapting to Italy? I mean, you had freedom. You had a lot of freedom. Your parents weren't the only parents that were like leash-free kids. Like today, kids are locked up. They're helicopter parents.
Right.
Back then we were like, yeah, I'm just doing my thing. You're like walking downtown. Nobody knows where I am. I don't have a phone. I don't know where I am. Where am I? What?
I think losing the phone thing was what allowed us that freedom, because I didn't have that before I went there. If I went to a friend's house, I'd have to call my mom and tell her I made it when I lived in Virginia. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have a phone. My parents didn't have a phone at the house. There was no phone. If I told my dad, asked my dad to come pick me up, I had to be there at a certain time because he wouldn't stay. He'd leave. He'd be there at 11 o'clock. If I wasn't sitting at that bus stop at 11 o'clock, then I saw my own to find a ride home. He did wait the first few times, but then he'd get angry and he stopped waiting. So you were either there or you weren't. But I think the phone thing is what allowed for that freedom. And now everybody has a phone and they have them on it all the time. So I think that's why we lost so much freedom.
You can track your kids. You can look at their Instagram, see where they're checking. And if you don't know where your daughter or son is, oh, he's there. Who's he hang out with? Billy Jackson. Okay. Oh, Billy just checked into the adult bookstore. No, but it just, you'll find what's going on.
Right.
That is kind of, to me, that I love the mystery of discovering what's going to happen. I didn't like it just when through my many divorces, I was single one time and I'm going out with my friend and I go, let's go to the club and I'm going to see what happens. The mystery of my era. Right. And instead he's like, let's see who checked in here on Facebook. Oh, she's not that. And I'm like, really? You want pre-ordered life, like you're giving up the mystery and working in the scenario. You're not playing your music naturally. You're not writing your own songs. You're just pressing one on the jukebox and that's your life, kind of. Yeah, you were there so how many years were you there for again, though?
I was there from February of 82 through July of 2004. Kenny stayed for a year. Kenny left in 2005.
Wait, 2005?
My brother was there until I'm sorry, I lied.
85.
82 to 84, and he was there 82 to 85. And Mikey was there until 87, I think.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. My parents were there for 5 years, but as soon as I graduated, I came back. My mom did offer me a Eurail pass for me and my friend for a month if I'd stay, but yeah, no. I was ready for, I was in a government class with Mr. Hakeem, and he got one of those videos made from a friend in the States that brought it back. You guys were talking about commercials. It was a Buick commercial. It came on that little TV show he was trying to show us. Please rewind. We're yelling, and yeah, he rewound it but only once. So we got to watch the Buick commercial twice. Oh, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I was ready for American food.
You're craving the Americana. I mean, Italy was perfect food. You may have realized when you went back. And you didn't realize it when you were there because you were so raised on the artificial food that's what tasted better to you because they could modify it. It's like, hey, this cocktail tastes amazing. It's like a really good wine, or I'm going to give you a Long Island iced tea. Yeah, it tastes good, but the side effects are horrible compared to this wine that's actually good for your health, right? If you just drink the right amount. So not drinking half a Long Island isn't necessarily healthy compared to half a glass of wine. But yeah, I remember, I hung out with, I hung out in and out of circles with you a bit. I know I hung out with Kenny for sure quite a few times. We took some adventurous trips. I talked about one with Barb and them. Like we went to Livorno and just went wild. Me, him, Mike Chandler, Mark Rivera, Ralph Schuberg. And
that was after I graduated. I heard the story, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kenny had a way of getting into mischief, so I can imagine he's probably the one that put your clothes on inside out and tied you to the bench, if I had to guess.
It was probably Kenny. He was like, good, I got him where he was waiting. He was waiting for the opportune time. He wasn't going to try to do it straight on. He was like, he's kind of a big guy.
No. Too little. He's too little to do that.
He's going to wait till you're like tied to the ground like the Lilliputians. No, I'm kidding. But I talked to Kenny. I guess, he was happy living by Virginia Beach too?
He is in Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach, right?
Now, when he moved back to Virginia Beach. When I moved back, I moved to Florida. I moved in with my grandparents when I moved back. So that's how I ended up in Florida. But yeah, he moved back and went to Virginia Beach, which is where we were before we left.
Now, who were your real homies? Like, who did you hang out with? Who was your little crew over there of your friends, your go-tos?
Well, when I first got there, I wasn't real sure how I fit in. everybody was really friendly. There was a group, I got to tell you, right outside of the right outside of the base with Post, there was a pizzeria. Do you remember pizzeria being right there?
Right to the left. You go out the front gate, go to the left towards Villaggio.
Maybe I don't remember, but I know it was
near a churchyard. You're near a churchyard. Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
So we're there. I've got new people around me that I have seen for 2 or 3 weeks in school. Invited me to go to pizza, so we go for pizza and the food's taking a while. We're having fun. I think who was with me, but I'm not 100% sure, was Pam Spencer. I think Tommy Jackson, Tom Jackson.
Tom with the van. Tom with the green van. Yeah.
Ed Martini, maybe. Can't remember who else. Tabitha, maybe.
Okay. That was that crew. That was my
crew. That ended up being my crew. But so we're there, and we're having pizza, and they're trying to teach me different things about Italy as compared to the U.S.
These guys.
Yes. That's
Martini.
My Italian friend with the white shorts. But yes, so that's probably who is there.
Dominic, and then this is Dominic, and this is Ed. And this is
Dominic
Kenny right here, and Tabitha, and you're in here somewhere, maybe?
I'm taking the picture.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the pictures I'm not in because I was the one taking the pictures.
Okay.
So anyways, we are at this pizzeria. Now, I've only been there a couple weeks. I know a little bit of Spanish because I was taking Spanish before I moved to Italy. So I had from September to February Spanish class.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that the food's taking a lot longer than it's supposed to. And they want me to go ask the pizza guy how much longer before we eat the food. So they're teaching me how to say this in Italian, right? So the way I'm being taught, if you speak Italian, plug your ears. Mangia mi figa is what I'm told to say to this man.
Oh, great.
So I'm like, yeah, I could tell kind of the way they were talking, like things weren't like.
That was a practical prank. I used to do something similar to that to GIs.
Might not be on the up and up, right? So I'm like, no. They're like, yes. And Pam turns to this random Italian guy that was in there, and she goes, how do you say eat in Italian? And he says mangia. She goes, see, go ask him how long before we eat.
Oh.
Yeah. So I go up there and I say it to the poor man. I'm telling you, he
must have turned red. Beet red.
His jaw hit the floor. I knew right then that I had found something really bad. Yeah. So yeah, I ran out of that pizzeria. So that's kind of what went on with me when I first got there. People
what a shocker.
Those little
pranks that you can't pull in the States, right?
Yeah, correct. So then I met Harry Austin. And Harry, I got to tell you, was fantastic. He didn't ever do that to me. But he took me, I was like, I don't know, wasn't used to drinking, and I'm drinking now, right? We're drinking quite a bit. And when you drink, females especially get way more emotional. Men get more testosterone, and women get more emotional. And some fight had broke out. So I hop on this Bellagio bus because I don't know where I am and how long it's going to take me to get there. But I knew I needed to get away because everybody's fighting. I'm crying because I want everybody to stop fighting. I get on the first bus that pulls up. We were on the base by the movie theater. I get on the bus and I drive to wherever this bus is taking me. I don't even know where this bus is taking me. I didn't live in Bellagio. So got to Bellagio and I recognized the teen club. Now, I guess it had been the preteen club, but then it became the teen club because they were building the new teen club or something. It was temporary.
Did they have a temporary teen club there in Bellagio? Because it was mainly on base.
It was at the pool.
At the
somewhere.
pool.
It was temporary.
At the pool, yeah.
Pool. Right. So I get off the bus and I'm crying. And of course, I know I'm in Bellagio, but I don't really know anywhere around Bellagio. And ran into Harry Austin. And at the teen club right away, he's, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And of course, I'm drama queen because I'm drunk, and oh, everybody's fighting. And yeah, so anyways, he was really nice, made me feel much better. He ended up fixing me up. You know, I told him about the pranks that had been played on me, speaking Italian and stuff. So he set up this thing, and we went for a walk. Not that day, but like 2 days later or something. And he took me around Vicenza. Took the bus downtown probably, and he was teaching me how to read the street signs, teaching me the bad words so that I will know them if somebody tells me to say
and not order them for pizza. Yes.
Not order them for pizza. Yes. So yeah, Harry was really great. Those first, you know, being the
ambassador.
Yes, ambassador.
Yes.
So,
the concierge of Vicenza. Yeah.
Yes. Harry was really great with that. So thank you, Harry. If you see this, I appreciate all you did. I mean, there was nothing romantic there. It was strictly just a nice guy.
That was nice. You needed that for sure.
Nice. So that was really great. Then I got to meet more and more people. And then because I smoked, ended up being with the smokers and ended up falling into that group, that crowd.
The whole country did.
Do what?
The whole country smoked. People would be eating dinner, smoking, and eating food. Now,
right.
I still smoke sometimes. So what the hell?
I smoke all the time. So.
But I don't eat my dinner with it on the table. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what that is like. I used to see people smoking. I was like, that's wild shit right there. That's like everything at once. That's like a one-man band. I got the tambourine over here, the drum, and the guitar all at the same time. That's what it kind of felt like. But, you know, it's I can see when I'm listening to you, and I can see how some things appeared scary because it's so foreign, and you come to a new town, and the first thing people do is they play a prank on you, and you're going, am I going to fit in, or are these guys all jerks? They just set me up hard. Like, that was a hard setup right there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. It doesn't matter if you're the new kid in town. You know, I felt that when I went to Kentucky for a while, but, you know, people were like, oh, yeah, they're all my friends, and they were just setting me up for something to screw with the new kid. But they kept it that way. I'm like, what did I do to you, jerks? So, I get it. But I'm sure then you kind of glided towards, what, the martinis and Pam and all that?
Yeah, yeah. We got along really well, I would say. Kenny ended up splitting off a little bit. I mean, we still were there because we smoked, but yeah, that crowd changed as the years. Yeah, I was only there for two years, and the crowd changed.
One group became a subgroup. Somebody moved. It would always change.
Right. Yeah, it changed through the course of my duration there, but yeah. And tell you about the smoking thing. When I first got there, my dad had given me a ration card. I had a ration card for the cigarettes. My dad knew I smoked. And so we're smoking, and we're over by the movie theater, and then I think it was a hobby shop or something behind it. Do you remember?
Yeah, the hobby shop and the photo lab too. Yeah, the library. Yeah. We're
kind of like smoking in between those two, kind of more towards the street, and the MPs come up. Tell us we can't be there. You guys are not allowed to be here. You got to go. So, okay. Or we're like, why? And they're like, because you're hiding here. You can't be hiding. So we said, okay. So we stepped out. And
you know where we are. Tap, tap, no races. Go ahead. Yeah, they stepped out.
So we step on the other side of the movie theaters. Now we're out in public. We're right there on the street. We're right there where the road turns. And so in between classes, we're running over there and having a cigarette. And MPs come up. You can't be here. What do you mean we can't be here? You're loitering.
What?
What? You're loitering. You got to go. So, okay. So then we went a little closer to, there was a daycare.
Oh, I know what
from
you're talking about.
there was
Yeah.
a daycare there. So now we are behind the movie theater, kind of, but by the daycare. We can't go too far because we're in between classes, right? You get like 3 minutes to change classes or 2 minutes to change classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're there, and we get the MPs come up to us again. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I'd had enough. I was pretty sure that Drac was calling the MPs on us. So I went storming into the office there. I said, Drac, I know it was you. You keep calling the place. We're gonna smoke. So tell me, where can we smoke? Because this is bullshit. It doesn't. We're either loitering or we're hiding. But I mean, it's not.
That was a harassment.
Having a cigarette.
Harassment. Yeah. Harassment.
Right?
Yeah.
So he thought about it for a second. He looked out his window and he said, see that table right there? I said, yep. He goes, you can smoke there. So if we smoke there, you're not calling the cops anymore, right? Nope, I won't call the MPs. You smoke right there so I can see you and make sure you're not up to mischief. I said, okay. So that's when we started smoking there. But the reason I think he thought we might be up to mischief, just throw this out there, the first day of school my junior year, me, Ed Martini, Kenny, Teresa West, Pam, Tabitha.
I just podcasted with Peter West. Was that her brother?
It was her brother. Yeah,
Okay.
she's older. She's a year older than me.
Okay.
We're all back between between the movie theater and back in that little hiding hole back there that we kept getting in trouble for being in.
Yeah.
Teresa said, you guys want some wine? It was the first day of school. You guys want some wine with lunch? Yeah, sure. So Teresa goes off the base and gets a couple bottles of wine too. And she brings them back because they're a lot cheaper off the base than on the base.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think Drac and the MPs had this little thing going. So I'm sure the MPs called Drac and said, hey, one of your students just left the base and came back with some wine. I think that's how that's happened. The MPs are tattling on us. So we get back there. We're trying to get the corks out of the bottle, right? We just got the bottles popped. Here comes Drac walking around the corner of the building. We're like, oh shit. We're all sitting in a circle, right? So Teresa dumps out the bottles of wine behind her back. She figured if there was no wine, there was no
evidence.
Yeah, we weren't doing. There's no wine in this so she dumps it out. None of us. I think maybe Teresa had one sip out of one of those bottles of wine, but none of the rest of us had any wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got called into the office with those two empty bottles that we must have drank.
You could have said you were using them to paint bottles in Hakeem's class.
Yeah, no.
These are our painting bottles.
We got suspended. Yeah. We got suspended the first day of school, my junior year. All of us, all 10 of us, or however many were there, we were suspended. I got suspended 3 times that year, but we got suspended for drinking wine at lunchtime. So
I would challenge the suspensions. My record probably is somewhere beyond that I can't even recall. I think they just didn't even bother after a while. I think senior year I had 200 unaccounted for absences. So, I did it my way.
He never even got detention. I got suspended for skipping school, and I wasn't even a school skipper.
Yeah.
I got suspended.
The one time you went down. We would do random things. At some point I wasn't taking it serious at all. Me and my buddy Mark, we would always look for mischief. I mean, there'd be a school, field trip, right? And it wasn't our field trip. We just jump on the damn bus. We're going to Bassano. We're going to Venice, and just have fun because they'd leave us for 2 or 3 hours for lunch and let's go drinking over there. I mean, that's really what it was. We were pushing the limits of it. I mean, you guys weren't at a stricter stage. Things, I don't know if they ever loosened up, but we got to a point where we didn't care. Like you talk about hiding the bottle of wine. It evolved where I remember just going down to the having a bag of beer and a 6-pack in a sports bag and just getting one of those big milkshake cups from the whatchamacallit, they'd hold like 2 beers in them, 24 ounces or something, from the snack bar, and I'd put the thing on it. I'm sipping it like it's a milkshake, walking down the street, just, chugging a couple beers. I was normal. I mean, pushing like everywhere, like, oh, I should go. Like, I started getting to the point where it was hide in plain sight. Like, oh, no one's paying attention to the janitor's broom closet. This is a great smoke area. Nothing. I just started going, what if we mix this with this? Now, do I think it would have mattered if I applied myself 100% and I went to a prestigious university? I might have had a good job, a job. But I think that since I was a free-thinking individual, a risk taker, and David Dinges will tell you that he's seen a lot of mischievous kids when he was a principal come back and be successful because they were risk takers. If you live within the lines, you're not going to do that. So most of my life, I've been an entrepreneur, and it's like I can take hard hits, but I can take high rises too, and that's like, now everybody wants that ride. They want some state of balance and normalcy. But I think that when you're anti-authoritarian as a kid and you're trying to break some rules, you're trying to figure yourself out, not just do what you're told. And listen, everybody's had kids since then, and they want to tell them to do the right thing, and the kids are going to evolve to who they are anyways, right? And they're probably more secretive than we ever were because they have texting and they can talk to, I'm just playing video games. So let's meet over at Johnny's for beer tonight. And look like he's playing a video game because they're communicating on chat. But you never know, right? Or they're friggin' buying weed off each other. You never know. But my thing is, like, look at how things have changed. I love this one. And I'm not a marijuana advocate, trumper, pusher guy of marijuana, right? I'm not trumpeting this stuff, right? It's fine. It's no more dangerous than wine has ever been, in my opinion. You don't see, and it's even better, like alcohol will cause more home violence where people are smacking their kids around because it puts them into a rage. But there's no rage on marijuana. It might be like, listen, hey, Billy, don't piss off your dad. I'll order 2 extra large pizzas tonight and we're going to eat them all. I mean, that might be the worst that you get from it, because you'll get the munchies and you will laugh and you'll get sleepy. You won't turn into a violent person. But that was the way that politics pushed that narrative. So me, you, or anybody that did smoke a little bit of weed, and you might not even smoked any weed or hash in school, but no.
I only smoked hash once, and it was laced with
opium,
LSD, and I don't know. But yeah, I was not happy about it, and I was not the drug user in high school. I did drink because I was in Italy. I actually don't very rarely drink anymore. I'm not a big, I don't know. Kenny's the drinker of the two, so yeah.
Well, it's
some, but I don't like feeling like shit.
I don't either. And right now, I'm not trying to show you that I'm the guy from Animal House. I have no.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I have no desire.
One of those. I have a Kenny.
Yeah. You have Kenny. You're good. Kenny, keep going. Yeah, but my thing is like, I don't mind a little 1 or 2 drink buzz, but past that, I don't want to find out the other side of tomorrow. As you get older, your body does not metabolize it the same way as when you were a kid. Yeah. And that's what it is. And they're going to get here. Anybody's like, oh man, it's going to be different for me. Okay, wait till the Mack truck hits you. You've been used to, you've been used to getting like slapped in the face with a butterfly kind of hangover. Wait till the Mack truck hits you. And you're waking up like, what happened? Yeah, that changes. But the drinking, that was done out of scarcity. Like, we better drink now because we won't be allowed to when we go to the States. I don't know if it would have been the flip side. Like, we better all go to the nude beach because they're illegal in the States. I don't know if that would have sold. Maybe. If it's something you can't do in the States, like, you better order 2 ice creams because you can't order 2 ice creams in Kentucky. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but we were kids. And we had kids. We've had kids. What do? You're going to let them do what we did? That's the hypocrisy as all adults that get away with stuff. And all the adults, not all, but a lot of the adults were just as bad or worse than the stuff that they did over there. And I'm not, you know what? The hypocrisy is endless. So all the days that you were a strict authoritarian, there was that week when you found whiskey, or that week that whatever you did, as a grown up, or you left your kids and like you didn't think about it. Oh, I'm sending them over to Kenny's house. You didn't know what was happening, right? So but you had a lot of freedom. You had a lot of freedom, you and Kenny, your parents being gone. I had a
We
lot of
did.
freedom. I had a lot of freedom. Most of my friends did, right?
Yeah.
We're little
Yeah.
grown-ups walking around like we knew something, right?
Yeah.
You know?
We
But
did.
I'm sure you enjoyed that. How did you feel after you get back to the States after living that kind of life?
Um, the main thing that I noticed, when I moved back, I moved in with my grandparents, and they lived in Central Florida, in a very small town, about an hour south of Orlando. And they lived on a farm. And I can tell you, not having a car sucked. I didn't have a car. There's no public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to borrow my grandfather's car to find a job, to
Meet people.
get money to buy a car.
Yeah.
And then Grandpa, of course, didn't want me going out drinking in his car. Go to work, you come back and work on the farm, and I love my grandfather to death. He and I were very, 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 very close. But yeah, he had that. I was tied. My car. I didn't have a car. I ended up having to write my mom a letter. My grandfather told me I wasn't going to buy someone else's problems. I had to buy a new car if I was going to buy a car. Well, how? What did I say for employment? Oh yeah, I've worked 2 weeks at Walmart. I never heard of Walmart. That's why my very first job in the stateside was. Never even heard of it. It was a brand new company coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hired on at Walmart. But oh yeah, I worked summer hire. I was a telephone operator, and I filed some papers. That's my work history. I bagged groceries at the commissary too for quarters, like for video games. Like who's gonna sell me a brand new car? Nobody's gonna sell me a brand new car. I had to call mom or write mom and dad, say, please, I need a car.
Mm-hmm.
So mom ended up mailing me her car, had it shipped over for me because my grandfather wasn't gonna work on someone else's problems. So yeah, but that was probably the hardest thing, was the public transportation, because I can't get anywhere. I lived in the middle of nowhere, and
You went from freedom to the town of Footloose, where you're not even allowed to dance or drink because it's a sin. It's like you landed in Bible Belt City, right?
Yeah.
I went to Kentucky for a summer, where I went to summer school. My mom was going to school there, and I got to tell you, the culture was different right off the bat. I didn't have a car. We didn't have the bus. I had a BMX bicycle. I had to ride everywhere. That was it for me. And it was very Bible belty, very religious. It was a dry county. And I'm like, what the hell is this shit? What's wrong with you people? Oh, the Lord. I'm like, okay, cool. We have a lot of Lord stuff over in Italy, man. Trust me, we got a whole bunch of Jesus factories. Come over. You know what I mean? So that was what I was seeing, and I'm like, I didn't even know the difference what Christians thought they were and Catholics thought they were. I thought we were Christians too, but apparently the American Christians didn't think we were Christians because we were raised Catholics and so forth, right? And eventually I just got into, I'll do me. But my point is, it was crazy how locked down that was. Hell, it almost seemed like the town of Footloose, except we did have a roller skating rink. And that was about the only entertainment there was. And they played a Teddy Spittle kind of song like Electric Avenue, but he was more in a funky town, Teddy Spittle. Funky town. Yeah, Teddy Spittle. Yeah. That's what I saw. And for you to come back to go from freedom of Italy to Chastity City, whatever, Florida, right? You're like, I'm a girl, I'm grown up. I want to meet boys. I don't have a car. I want to socialize. No, you just stay here and pick cucumbers with grandpa and tomatoes. And maybe feed the cows. We'll bale some hay. Fantastic. What a great day. Yeah. That must have been like, wow. So then you had to so how did you find your way out of there to husband number one?
I actually, once I got the car, I was able to go out, and I actually met one of my coworkers. We became best friends, and we ended up rooming together, became roommates. I moved into town, and so it wasn't so far away from everything. And I met my first husband through her, And
About
yeah,
5 minutes into town, you're like, I'm ready.
yeah,
Marriage
yeah.
time?
Yeah. I married in October of '85. And I graduated in June of '84. So
You met him in February?
um, I got married in October of '85. I got married. My husband, my first
Ooh.
husband, he ended up, he had cancer.
Mm.
They were thinking he wasn't going to ever be able to have children once he had the chemo and radiation. And he was 3 years older than me. So, of course, he wanted to have children. And I didn't want to be a single mom. And I was the girl he was dating at the time. So, I thought it would work out for forever. Would I say I was in love with him? Probably not, because I'd already broken up with him once and got back together with him. But,
It was familiar. It was familiar. You're floating around. You hit a point. I'll let you finish on that. But we ended up with certain people. Me with the
right,
wrong wife or two, because you want something familiar because you're so used to things changing around you all the time. So you will settle instead of choose appropriately. You will let
right,
what comes to you as long as it feels familiar for that change. I think that happened to a lot of people.
right. Well, they recommended to him that if he was going to have any children, that he do it right away. So, yeah, we ended up getting kind of a rush marriage and didn't end up getting pregnant. I never used birth control. It ended up taking almost 5 years before we had our first, for that whole
Hmm.
chemo radiation thing to come and go and wear off. And yeah, he ended up being able to have kids eventually, because I had 2 girls from him. But
Wow.
yeah, yeah, but it was kind of a quick sort of decision.
Well, I get married at 21 or 22. I don't even remember. Wrong time. What's that? Wrong time for me, for most people. Some people made it from high school that are still in our alumni that made it work. But for
Right,
the majority of us, especially as some rebel types, that doesn't work.
right.
We want to go out and wreck some stuff before we decide to start
Yeah,
building something.
yeah. My first husband, don't get me wrong, he was a great guy. We're still friends to this day.
That's great.
It's very friendly, outgoing. But we're still friends. But yeah, it just wasn't. Yeah, I should have waited.
I think people should wait. This is just my feeling, statistics. No true, don't do what I say if you don't want to. But my feeling is you should wait till at least you're like 26 and
Right,
have lived a little bit and maybe see what works for you and what doesn't, and pay attention.
right.
Maybe, some people, the new marriage age is 32 or more. I mean, there's a lot of women now that stay single at 38, like, oh shit, I need to get married before I can't have a kid. So now that decision is being made on a scarcity principle, right? So you
Right,
have two scarcities. One scarcity is I won't have enough experience and try to date different types of people so I can see what fits me. So I better go spend this time over here. The other one is, oh, now I don't have much time to make a decision. And even though I did all that experimenting, I'm going to make a bad one fast, which happens to people too, right?
right,
So it's the same
right.
as it's really the same as getting married at 21, but at 38, because the ovaries are going, it's time to go, dude, right? It's pretty
Right.
nuts. It's pretty nuts how that is all based. And then, later you look, if you've had a divorce, no judgment at all. More people have than not. More kids in
Yeah,
school have divorced parents than not.
yeah,
It's just the way it went. Some people have had that other thing, and you know what? I know it's been hard and great and easy. It's been rewarding. It's been as hard. It doesn't. Nothing is just easy, right? They don't just
right,
give it to you. It's not a lay down. You're gonna have to work at it. It's not gonna automatically do itself, right?
right.
So, 21, your age, yeah, I get why you made that decision. Probably the same reason I did. You
Yeah, I
know,
got married when I was 19, so
yeah,
yeah,
you're ready to go. You're like, it's time to get married. Get out of grandpa's house. I'm good to go, right?
yeah,
But put any of us in different circumstances. You change yourself to, okay, I'm in a town and there's lots of different guys talking to me, or I'm going to a prestigious college and you're hearing all your other friends and what that conversation is, and now you're changing how you make your decisions. What circumstance anybody could be in, right? You
right,
give me not this the girl that's being nice to me right now, but I'm a 21-year-old guy, and now I'm a bikini model judge. That's going to change my outlook on, oh, there's so many options. I'm not settling down ever. It may change based on how you put that out there, right? So,
Right.
but ultimately, you like being married, and I like being married too,
I do. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I did good with me and my second husband are much better fit.
Did you pick
He's not
better?
a nice guy. He's not as nice a guy.
Yeah,
I like the mean ones, I guess.
you like them a little more alpha, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. You're like, yes, perfect.
Give me the manly man.
Who have you seen? Who have you seen on this podcast? What has stuff made you think about listening to some of the other people's episodes?
I think I've watched I think all of them. Some of the people there I didn't know. They were there before I was gone, but you know, it sparked a lot of memories and reminded me of things like getting the first day of school with Teresa buying the wine and
Oh yeah.
what's his name mentioned he thought his sister got suspended the first or second day of school. Yeah, he was right. I was there.
Oh, Peter West. Peter West. Yeah.
Yeah, the West. Yes. So you know, I watched all of them. I can tell you the funniest ones are the ones where they like are sharing memories where certain things actually happened to them was the ones that I like more than
Yeah. The
yeah.
general speak, like
Yeah,
stick to it. Yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Because it reminds you of specifics that happened to you.
Oh
When,
my gosh.
but
I know I have some stories. I was thinking of what do I have today? What is a story you can tell me of some crazy experience there that you can think of?
I'll tell you about my senior class trip. It was senior skip day. You know, the senior skip day, and you get to take a class. The teen club puts on a trip to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
We actually went to Sorrento and the Isle of Capri for senior skip day.
Beautiful.
For I don't know, I think it's an extra long weekend is what it is. And
It's not never a day. It's like 3 or 4 days. It's never a day.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was quite a few. And none of my friends went. Actually, at that point in time, the only person that I was hanging around with Jan McCleary at the time, but she was married to a GI. She had just gotten married to a GI.
She was my buddy. I've been trying to tell her to get on here, Jan. Yeah.
Yeah, she had married a GI, and every time he gets sent to the field, I would go stay at her house because she was living out in the economy, so that she didn't have to stay there alone. But yeah, I like Jan a lot.
They were both nice to me, her and her husband. They're cool. Yeah.
And then Ed Martini. So those were really the only seniors that I can think of that I was really hanging around with, and neither one of them went on the trip. So to roommate with somebody, there really wasn't anybody in my group that I got to room with. So I ended up rooming with Carrie Dunbar and Patty Boudreau.
Patty Boudreau.
Boudreau.
Yeah.
And then there was one other girl it was four. There was supposed to be four of us. But the fourth girl, sorry, I don't remember who it was because she didn't stay with us. She had a boyfriend that lived not too far from Sorrento. So she told us to cover for her for the entire weekend. And she got a train and went to his house. So she wasn't there the whole time except for arriving. And then she was gone. Luckily, she made it there right in the nick of time for us to go home. Nobody ever knew she wasn't there because we covered for her. But on that trip, there was Carrie decided she had seen on a TV show or something this thing about stealing the guy's underwear and mixing them all up and then putting them back like in the wrong suitcases. And so she thought that would be a really good idea. So we're playing lookout. She sneaks down to the room of some of the boys. I believe Ron, he was Asian, maybe did.
Ron Tamora?
Yes, I think it was his room. I'm pretty sure he was in it. Maybe Tommy Liska and Brent Bendick and
Yeah, Tommy Liska, Brent Bendick. Yeah, now you're bringing up the names.
or I'm not real sure who he roomed with, but I'm pretty sure it was his room
It was
because
probably Tommy Liska because they were in Boy Scouts together with me. So I joined their troop when I was the little guy. Yeah.
oh really?
Yeah, so I knew who they were. They
We're
were buds.
playing Lookout. She goes in the room. She's got this like trash bag, right? And she's collecting up all their underwear out of their suitcases. And all of a sudden they're coming. So she wasn't able to put them back into like the wrong suitcases or whatever. So we let her, they're back. So she grabs this trash bag full of all the guys' underwear. And we go running back to our room and close the door. Ron went in there and we heard he was furious. Furious. And he is wanting to know who stole his underwear. And of course, all the guys were mad, but we heard like he was gonna knock down and beat somebody up for it. So
yeah,
they're going knocking room to room to find out who's got their underwear. So now we got this bag of underwear and we're in our room. They're coming. So we take the bag and dump it off the balcony, and it lands on the drive of the where the cars drive down to go under to the parking area of the hotel. That's where the bag lands. So we don't have the bag no more. So we're scot-free if they come into the room. And yeah, that didn't. Yeah,
well, it was better in the movie.
They were angry. Yes. So, anyways, once like they were done searching, we ran downstairs to get that bag of underwear because we didn't want them not to have any underwear. So we go back up and we end up dumping it. We ended up getting back into their room and dumping the underwear out, but we didn't sort it because we didn't know whose was whose. And yeah, we didn't have time. We didn't want to get caught. So we did that. Then Patty had set up a seance in our hotel room, in my hotel room. And all those guys came over and she had these little sticks and started this little fire. And we're calling back Jack the Ripper. Well, in my opinion, Ron was a little scared of seances, maybe. I don't know. But every time she would say, we're calling back Jack the Ripper, he'd go, rip, 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 ripper. And he's like turning it into a joke. And she's like, if you got to be serious or he's not going to come back, right? And then the guys ended up falling asleep in our hotel room. And we're all sharing beds. And in the morning, there's a knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. And it's Vern. He was one of the chaperones.
Oh, my.
Like, guys, I need to talk to you. Like, and of course, we're all freaked out now because there's guys in our beds, right? So I'm like, everybody's like hiding, like, who's going to answer the door? And I thought, no, I'll go answer it. So I open the door and I crack it so you can't see that the boys are in the bed. Now, I just woke up, right? He just woke us up. We were, a little bit of a hangover. And he's like, have you seen Brent and Tommy and Ron and I don't remember who else? And I'm like, no. He goes, well, they weren't in their room all night. I said, well, they were here last night, but they left. He's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. We're sleeping, and I'm sure. So I closed the door, and Patty's like, why did you tell them that they weren't here? And I'm like, you want me to say that Brent was in my bed? Come on, come on, not that we're doing anything, but we're sleeping. What did you want me to say? You should have answered the damn door. So, yeah. So told the boys, wake up, you need to go down by the pool. And I don't care where you say you were last night. Tell them you fell asleep at the pool or something. But they're worried about you because they can't find you. I think the boys told him the truth because Vern was giving me these looks later. Like,
yeah.
Terry.
Who wanted to tell? Who wanted to tell Vern the truth? I didn't.
I'm not telling the male chaperone that meant not happening. But that was pretty fun time. But the fire in the room. Somebody got locked in the hotel elevator, like an hour and a half, and they were like pulling the levers and stuff because they had tried to ring for somebody to come help them. I guess we had walked by. Me and Mike Inglesby had walked by, and going out to the pool, and they were banging. They could hear us talking. Well, we couldn't hear them, and they ended up pulling levers. And then Lisa ended up receiving a bill from the hotel for the broken elevator. But our guys ended up breaking themselves out. But yeah, they were stuck in that elevator for like an hour and a half, and nobody could to rescue them. So
That's the kind of stuff that would happen, though. There was some trips. Those are the things. Like you were thrown in like your group. You're mixing it up with a different group. Of
right.
different people from. There was cliques, and you didn't always go to that clique or that clique. Then there was a time where everybody would be everybody together. But at the teen club, certain people hung out with different sections, or on a trip. Things like that would switch up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I kept myself open to everybody. I was pretty open. Go ahead.
Do you remember a guy named Elliot?
Elliot, yeah. I'm trying to remember his last name.
I don't know what his last name is. I met him. I guess he's the guy that like ran away from.
Yeah.
On to Greece like for 3 years or something. And
I don't know if it was that long. Maybe it was 3 months, but it seemed like 10 years. I don't know.
No, I met him my senior year. He was gone for years because he was already run away when I got there in '82.
Yeah.
And he came back. He found his parents were going home or whatever. But I have a yearbook. My yearbook picture. I want to show this to you if I can. Can you see that? That's Patty.
Oh, nice.
Patty drew that for me.
Beautiful.
At Big Ben's. We were at Big Ben's that night, but Patty has this whole spiel in here about that trip, our senior trip, going to, you probably can't read it, stealing the boys' underwear, and then she says, Elliot told me that he needs to see you one afternoon before he leaves. So it's random that I like even remember who that is because he's not in this yearbook, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, I got to meet him when he came back right before he left. He was there for like 2 weeks. So it's kind of weird who sticks in who you remember and who you don't. Like somebody I sat next to class with for 2 years. I might not remember their names, but yeah, I remember Elliot. So
well, he had an interesting story. It was a big deal. A kid
Yeah.
ran away on his own, and he had success working as a waiter and restaurant manager in Greece. Right.
Right.
He did some grown-up stuff, so it was kind of like he's coming back like a guru to us kids. Like, hey, we could do it. We could run away and be successful, right?
You know, right?
Right. I get that. Patty and I lifeguarded together a couple times. Unfortunately, Patty's passed. She passed away. I didn't know that. I didn't mean to tell you that on the podcast, but yeah, I knew her for quite a couple times. We lifeguarded in Vicenza. I think it was a car accident. So rest in peace, Patty. But it's nice that you're remembered and brought up on the podcast, as far as I see. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, some people like, yeah, your dad, and they don't know my dad passed away 19 years ago. Not everybody is kept up on everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not know that about your family, and it's hell. We're at the 50-yard line. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I heard
we're at that age.
I had heard that Tommy and Mark were both. Tommy Lister and Mark Perkins were both.
I mean, Freddie.
Yeah. Fred. I'm sorry, not Mark. Freddie. Yeah. So
it's caught up to quite a few people because the longer you live, the more this happens. It's part of it. But we're still, we're still here pushing, making a podcast. And in a way, I don't see the morbid side. I see that somebody's being remembered and they still live today, and we get to leave their story in the internet. You know what I mean? And our own. Our kids can find this years later and go, oh, I didn't know my dad used to steal keychains from Venetian vendors. I never did that, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah, but we talk about, you go back to the States and you tell a fantastic story about your life experience in Europe, and you didn't go there as a touristy tourist, like on the bus, off the bus, buy the postcard, look at the church, go eat the pasta, go to your room. No, we went in and did it rock star style. So when you tell someone a story that when you were 17 or 18 with your buddy, me and Mark Parkins in this case, and you know how beer cans would come in a 6-pack, and if you pull one out, you could carry it in your teeth, right? That plastic thing. I remember climbing a castle wall in Marostica with Mark. He was climbing a wall. It was closed. We used to go there on field trips, but we were in that town for whatever reason. It was not a field trip. So we climbed the castle wall. We get over the top, And, you know, it's probably 3 stories or more. We climbed over it, climbed up this thing because those rocks were sticking out, almost like a rock crawl that they would have at a gym now, if you think about it. But it wasn't meant for that. But we climbed up there. We got inside the bow and arrow turrety kind of things where they used to, you know, like the shields where they'd shoot at the bad guys. We're drinking our beers, throwing beer cans at cars passing by, like a couple of archers. You know, I don't remember how we get out of there, but we did it. So the stupid stuff you would do as a kid to see if you could because it can be done. I don't ever walk down the street now as a grown up and go, oh, look at this new development of homes. I wonder if I could climb the wall of that 6,000 square foot home just to see how that feels. I don't have that curiosity. But the stupid stuff you would do out of boredom or being egged on by your friends, right? I mean, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
So you knew some people that I haven't really talked about or heard about in a while. Elliot, I thought about him because that was a thing that I always remembered. Because he left his memory there by running away for 3 years. No one else ever did it before and since, right?
Right.
You know, and I was wondering if that was Eric's. I thought that was Derek's brother for some reason, but I don't think it was.
Oh, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I met him for 1 week. I got to know him for 1 week when he was there. Yeah. And I just thought it was random. I was reading through the little thing. You know, some people are really good yearbook writers and some aren't. Some of them just say, hey, stay cool and nice knowing ya and have fun in the States. But other ones actually put little clippets that remind you of, you know, something that happened.
Well,
So,
Miss McClary was my buddy. You know, we were hanging out in biology and she was married to the GI and she was always nice to me. I was like her little brother kind of guy, sidekick. But
yeah.
she was always great. I talked to her on here. She's like, wow, look at this stuff.
Right.
You know, I want to get her on here.
Yeah, I'd like to hook up with her at some point in time. I tried to hook up with Sandy Chandler because she was part of our group too. She was going to Bike Week down in Panama City.
Oh, Panama. Okay.
Panama City. And me and my husband do the bike rallies, both the Daytona and the Panama City one. So we didn't end up actually, we were both there, but we didn't end up actually meeting because she ended up heading out. She was with some group of people and they were meeting some other people and we didn't end up hooking up. So that was too bad. Because I would have liked to have seen her again. I really, really liked her. And then one of the other people that I hung around when Jan was with her husband was Lori Barrymore.
Yeah, I remember Lori.
She's like quite a bit younger than me, but we were on a school field trip. I don't remember where to. I think maybe Rome. And she was my roommate. It was one of those situations where my friends weren't going either. So got the room with other people. Maybe it was wasn't choir. But we of course went out and got drunk, and she wears contacts, and so she was really drunk, unfortunately. So we got her up to her room. I can't remember who the other person was with us, but we had heard, we didn't wear contacts, but we had heard that you can't sleep in them, in the old time contacts.
Oh yeah, your eyeballs will fall out or something. I don't know.
Something was really bad would happen. So Gloria was passed out, and we're trying to get the contacts out of her eyes. We're trying to like hold her eyes up while the other one's trying to find these contacts in her eyes to get them out. So yeah, but after that trip, I got along really, really well with Lori Barrymore, so started hanging out with her. And I ran into her when I went back in '85, and she was hanging around with, I think her name was Jennifer.
Jenny.
I think she dated my brother. She dated my brother, maybe.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. You're talking about Jen.
Or she was a prom date or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that picture.
They were hanging out together at the North 40, and I was hanging out with them. And that's when you and Mike Petty come walking by. I was getting ready to take a picture of Jen and Lori, and you guys jumped in the picture and photobombed us 80s style, because you know you can't do that with a cell phone thing. So, yeah, you guys jumped into that photo. You guys were walking across the North 40, and yeah, that's where I popped that picture of you guys there.
That's the famous picture. That's the picture of my crazy hair days.
Yeah.
That was a great. That's a great photo. You get that picture of me and Mike Petty there. So
I wish I could have been in it too, but you can't take the picture and be in the picture with a 110 camera, you know?
Well,
So
well, this is who you're talking about. You're talking about Jenny Watson. Her,
yeah, yes,
right here
yes,
with Kenny, right? Yeah,
right,
they were very good friends. Yeah,
yes.
I tried to put them in touch with each other.
Oh,
Again,
you know, that picture reminds me of the guy on the left to Kenny.
Dave,
Yeah, but that's not what you
Dave
guys
LeBlanc,
call
Dave
Weird
LeBlanc. Wait,
Al.
yeah, Weird Al.
Weird Al. You
Poor
guys call
nickname,
him
Weird
Weird
Al.
Al.
Yeah, and I was talking over here to Eric the other day. It was a great conversation with him. He's Eric Mitchell.
Yes, Eric Mitchell. I remember Eric Mitchell well. He was actually my prom date on my junior prom or something like that. We
He got
actually
all
went.
the ladies. Eric Mitchell. He got all the ladies. That's a tag. I'm making that up. No, I don't know. Maybe he did. I'm just saying. No, there's people I knew of, and I was curious, like who's who. I wasn't like, oh, you're only this. I'm only going to hang out with people from this ilk or that are into this kind of music or whatever. I was just like, who's who? And
Right.
there's people that didn't want people in their circle sometimes. No.
Well, you know, the funny thing that I thought about Vicenza and the people that the kids that went there. My first summer hire, I'd only been in Italy for like 3 months, and my first summer hire was Mike Crenshaw. I was with Mike Crenshaw and a female. I don't remember who she was at the moment. But I got to know Mike really well, working side by side with him, and we had a lot of laughs.
He was cool.
I remember sitting on his lap, and we were just cracking up. Right now, he's a jock, and I had already been dubbed a freak. And by the way, I hated that term.
It wasn't really you. Now that I look at it, I don't see that fitting. You're
I
you.
hated
You are
that.
your.
I hated
You
that.
are yourself. I mean, they could call you. Yes, you're the person from band camp. No, I'm not. I don't play the flute. I carry the stuff.
So with Mike Doliani, the two of us were tagged together. Yes. So Mike Crenshaw, I got to know Mike Crenshaw pretty good, I thought. And then Tabitha hung around with Lonnie Rosario. And so I got to know Frank pretty well through Tabitha.
Yeah.
And of course, that's another football player. And we go on a field trip. And there's a big fight that breaks out on the bus over music between the football players sitting in the front of the bus with their boombox. Me, Eddie, Carlos, Kenny, and Teresa West and Pam or whatever in the back of the bus with our boombox. And of course, we're listening to my brother's music, which, by the way, I would rather been listening to what was being played at the front of the bus. But, you got Ted Nugent against, I don't know, Michael Jackson, pre-Thriller.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah.
Something's going on it, right? So Ted Nugent is just obviously louder. I mean, it's just going to be loud. Even if it's on low, it's louder. My brother used to blare me out of my bedroom with his boombox. So there's a big fight as to turn the music down, turn the music, fist fight out there. And I look over, like all of a sudden we're off the bus, the school bus, or in the parking lot. I run out because my brother's short. He's a little guy, right? He's a little guy with a big attitude, and kind of big attitudes and big fights that they can't win.
Mm-hmm.
So I go out after my brother. I'm not really going to fight. I'm the football team against us. So Teresa has jumped on Mike Crenshaw's back. She has got him and she is riding him like he's a bucking bronco. Got her arm around his neck and her legs around the waist, and she's punching him from behind. And he is beating up on Carlos. I don't know who Ed was fighting, but Kenny got paired up with Frank Rosario.
Oh.
Frank Rosario and
Good
Kenny.
luck.
I'm the sister, right? I got to protect the little brother with the big mouth. I run over there and I jump in the middle. And I'm like, Frank, what are you doing? Stop. What are we doing here? And he's like, something about respect or whatever. And Kenny's running his mouth. He's behind me and Frank's in front of me. And I'm like, Frank, look how big you are. Look how little he is. Is it going to make you feel like a big man to hit him? Really? If it's going to make you feel like a big man, punch him. And Frank's like, Like you could see the brain going on in Frank, you know.
No, he was extremely strong and tough guy. He's like,
But
what?
then you look around us and like there's fighting and sprawling and the girls are fighting and yeah. So anyways, punching. So I'm like, Frank, really, seriously, if it's gonna make you feel like that big of a man, hit him. Go ahead and hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Just hit him. Finally, Frank goes, boom, pops him just one time. Which thank God, because if I wouldn't have jumped in there, it would have been like a
Several.
would have been smashed like little mush like little whatever. So anyways, Kenny, we get back on the bus. Kenny's like, Terry, why did you keep saying that? Why'd you keep telling him to hit me? I'm like, yeah. So, but you know, after that was over, we were all still like, it was still cool. In school, in the classroom, we had our cliques, but outside, we were still like friends. Does that make
Mike Crenshaw was edgy. He was cool. He was a jock. Sometimes he was a little mean, but he was sometimes he'd be a little mean, but he was razzing you, and once you get to know him, you liked him a lot. And that was my experience with him. You know.
Well, I met him that summer hire, so I didn't take him like, I don't know. I didn't have the animosity towards him, the jocks and the freaks and the preps.
Yeah, that was like, hey, you just joined. Guess what letter you're wearing? You're against that letter, and it was over music. Oh my gosh, people would have boombox wars. We didn't have much to have a war over. I mean, it's like a Facebook argument, but even less emotion to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
People are going crazy at their house over somebody saying something on Facebook worse than a boombox fight.
Right.
You know, at least it's over with, and then everyone's like, okay, we can be friends now. And that would happen more times, that fights would turn into friendships. But now, today, people just troll each other forever, talking smack to each other.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, we heard it forever. But, yeah, I didn't have that. Now, I had that with Drat when we got called into the office after that. All of the freaks got called into the office to get held in trouble. I'd like any of the jocks to tell me if they got called into the office after. Just curious. But yeah, they were going to suspend us for fighting. And so I asked him, where's the football team? Because they were the other side. It was two-sided. And he said he was dealing with them later. And he said that we were the ones being called in there because we were drinking at lunchtime. And I was like, they were sitting at the next table over and they were drinking too, sir. So, I mean, if you dish it out to us, you got to dish it out to them too. And, well, you guys were smoking dope in the bathrooms.
No, you weren't.
I didn't smoke dope.
Nope.
So
that's awfully assumptive. That's awfully assumptive.
I said, you know what? You need your football players in here. I said, do you really think 3 guys and 5 girls are going to attack your football team? What? It's not. It's equal. Bring them in here. Of course, if they got suspended, they couldn't have played in the next game. So that was like a really bad idea. And we ended up getting off. But I'm just curious if they ever got called in to the office to answer for their stuff on that.
You were the hostage. You were the hostage negotiator. You did well representing yourself. You did good representing yourself.
Always.
Right? I think more people would have got along even more. It seems like my brother's era, my era, I saw the ice cube start to melt towards the end of '86, where people were more getting along. But there was times in Vicenza when I was younger where there was hard-edged cliques, like, jocks, heads, or freaks, or whatever you want to call each other, the geeks, the different names that they would hand out to a group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, now I see my brothers go, oh yeah, we're all friends, which was fun, which would have been way more fun for a lot of people. But some of that was their pre-existing before you got there.
Oh yeah.
Some other dependent military kid dropped off that idea and built a system around it until it fell. I didn't
feel it afterwards though. After the fight was over, it was fine. The only thing that I felt was because I'm a smoker. That's the only reason I But then when we were one-on-one and whatever field trip or whatever, everything was great. It's fantastic. So
Well, what was taboo, and them assuming that you're smoking dope, they call them dopers because the hippies were coming out of that era in the 60s and the 70s, right? That was towards the
right,
edge of that. So if you had long hair and you liked rock music, they instantly thought pothead, dopehead. Let me tell you
yeah,
what, I know plenty of executives that smoke the hell out of weed, that work on
right,
IT, that are running your computer right now, that manage your stock portfolio, that are presidents or CEOs of some company, or medical doctors. So there that goes. There goes that theory. But when we were young, the propaganda that was sold to our parents and all the domineering authority figures at the time, marijuana, reefer madness, if you smoke this, you're going to attack everybody like Dracula and eat their family,
right,
and
right,
really what happened is that it's a side note, but I live near development out here in California where the guy that started this thing, he didn't like hemp. And hemp is where they could make things better than paper and stronger than steel from the marijuana plant. And he owned a bunch of textile mills and making cotton and other things. He didn't want that to happen. And he used to own all the Chilton magazines. I can't even think of his name, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, it was propaganda that he used against marijuana to have it outlawed and all this stuff. Meanwhile, we'd had prohibition, then they brought it back, right? Alcohol. And I will bet anybody, you put two people, give one weed, give one again alcohol, one's going to be more violent than the other. You know what I mean? Take one to the limit, take the other to the limit. One's going to be harmless, one's not going to be. But that's irrelevant.
right,
I
right.
am not a marijuana advocate. I don't give a shit. I don't care about that. I don't mind if you do. I don't care if you don't. But when people try to brainwash you about what you should think, that's taboo. Like, or if a
Right,
girl dated more than one guy, then she is a X, right? A certain negative name. No, everybody has options. Equal, equal, equal. Do what you want to do. No judgment on anybody. I don't care. I'm not going to call you something because of something. You know what I mean? So
right,
that is just my outlook. When we had our little cliques, we had different preferences in music. We like to have cigarettes. They like to eat double cheeseburgers and,
right,
go watch the Waltons on a VHS tape. I have no idea. But, but some of them, it wasn't even their own ideas. Some of it was their parents' ideas or their teachers' ideas or whoever. Somebody had some influence over them or their
yeah,
preacher, their church's ideas. So
right,
there was those of us that were free and full of anti-authoritarianism, and we had a great time in a foreign country because it wasn't like, now mind you, we weren't in the Congo going through danger, risking our lives every day. It wasn't that bad.
right.
I think it was, but it's been good though. It's cool that you got, you brought up some people that I was having trouble remember their names. Who else do you want to see come on
Let
the
me tell you
show?
about let me tell you a little story about your dad.
Okay.
So when I had my senior year, the only thing I needed to graduate was a half a year of government. And or half a year government, yeah, just half a year government. So I had taken the government, and I think I took mythology because I happen to like Mr. Robbins. Actually, me and Eddie Martini, we set it up so that almost all of our classes were the same, except for I was in band and choir. He didn't do the band and choir thing, but other than that, all of our classes were the same. That's probably when he took his English credit, but I already had mine. And so going into my second half of the year, because I take my half a year of government, passed it, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to graduate early and go back to the States, and Dr. Brown wouldn't let me. So he told me that I needed to take more business classes. I needed to take shorthand, and I needed to take, I don't even know what business classes were out there. Well, I didn't. So I took band, teacher's aid for band, choir, PE, all I had was slip-out classes.
Electives, mostly electives, right? Yeah.
You know what? I took home ec. Anyways, so I'm in PE now. I haven't taken PE at all since I've been there because I just don't do the whole, running is just so difficult. So so I took PE, and just I don't remember who it was. Somebody said that they got a C in your dad's class. Only way you get that is if you don't dress out. If you dress out and then change back, you get an A. Just throwing that out there. So you dress out, you change, and then you can leave. But I'd dress out. Sometimes I'd play, depending on what they were doing would be really cool. Like if they're doing the trampoline or something, then I'd play along. But otherwise, I dressed out, roll call, go back. Your dad tried to get me to take a freshman, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, to the senior prom. He said that this little freshman was crazy about me, and it would just make his day if I would take this freshman to my senior prom. I was either a freshman, is either 8th grader or 9th grader. I'm like, yeah, right. Like that's going to happen. No, no. Well, now, 4 years younger, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But at that time, yeah, I could see that. So your dad begged me to take this freshman because Terry, he's in love with you. I'm like, no.
I can't see this, but I'm hearing this and going, okay, Dad, matchmaker.
Right?
Let me hand you this youthful youth.
Yeah, I get to the prom and your dad comes up to me. I didn't take this freshman to the prom. Maybe it was Sadie Hawkins' dance. It might have been Sadie Hawkins' dance.
Maybe it was Sadie Hawkins, yeah.
You didn't want me to ask him out. So your dad comes up and asks me to dance, and I'm dancing with him, and he said, Terry, you just crushed the boy. You crushed the boy. You should have taken him. Like, thanks, Mr. Richie, sorry.
Or Dad?
Yeah.
Mr. Dempsey? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dempsey. Yes.
Wow.
So that was pretty funny. Yeah, that's what I remember about you. Mr. Hakeem, just so you know, was my favorite teacher. He was the hardest teacher, but he was my favorite teacher. I was actually failing when I moved in English, when I moved to Italy. I didn't like my English teacher, and I'm dyslexic. Actually diagnosed in 3rd grade and on special classes in 4th and 5th grade for it. Mm-hmm. But math and writing, I can read, but I can't write real well. Or struggle for me. Spelling was a struggle for me. So I moved there failing. I didn't like my teacher. She would grade our notebooks. Who teacher grades your notebook? Anyways, so
somebody that doesn't have enough time at the Italian discos after work would grade a notebook. Right? Go on.
So anyways, I'm in Mr. Hakeem's class, and we're failing, or I come in with a failing grade, and we're reading all this. It's world lit. When I moved to Italy, I never heard it. It was 9th grade English, 10th grade English, 11th grade English, 12th grade English. And so I took world lit because I didn't know one lit was the same as the other. I didn't know it was a senior class, which is how I met Harry Austin's girlfriend, because she sat next to me in that class. But yeah, so I failing. I did okay in Mr. Hakeem's class. My spelling wasn't good. My punctuation kind of sucked. And so come for that final exam, and he hands it out, and it's like 6 total questions. And it's about specific books, very specific books. I don't remember those books from a hill of beans. And I'm reading them. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm going to have to take English all over again. So I take it up front and take the test, bite the bullet, Terry. You might as well just go home now. So I walked up there, Mr. Hakeem, I can't do this. I don't know any of these books. I said, I don't know if you read them at the beginning of the year before I got here, but I don't remember any of these books. So he said, Terry, appreciate you. And he goes, you came here failing. I said, yes, sir, I do. And he said, well, do me a favor, just write a book report on any book that you remember, and I'll pass you with a D. I said, great, thank you. So I wrote the book report and turned it in, and he passed me with a D. And then he would give extra credit points when I was in government. I can't remember what Kenny had him for, but Kenny suffers from, he can't read. Kenny can only read a word. He can't read a paragraph and tell you what that paragraph said, because he reads each word separately. So it doesn't make sense to him.
It doesn't come together, right?
Correct. He has to read every word separately. So Mr. Hakeem would give extra credit points for reading the newspaper. You raised your hand, and he'd give you like 2 extra points or 3 extra points if you were able to answer something about the whatever was written in Stars and Stripes newspaper. So I had read a story to Kenny, because Kenny, I was struggling. I had read several, and it was about some dog or something. And the next day in school, Mr. Hakeem asked about that particular thing, and Kenny's hand went up. Mr. Hakeem told me, Terry, I almost fell over. I almost fell over because his hand, he actually read the newspaper. I said, actually, I read it to him. He goes, I kind of figured you did, but I was just so surprised that his hand went up that I had to call on him. So, and then my mom got called in. Hakeem was our homeroom teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about notes, and several people have talked about notes for skipping school. So my mom comes into this teacher thing. It's in the gymnasium, and she's having to go around to all the different teachers. And we start off with Mr. Hakeem because he's our homeroom teacher, although we didn't have a homeroom. And he pulls out this bag, and he opens it up, and he dumps it out onto the table, and he says, Miss Peplinski, I just want to make sure that you realize how many notes you wrote this year, as he pushes this stack
Mm-hmm.
of notes. And my mom looks at him, and she goes, yeah, it does seem like I wrote a lot, doesn't it? And Mr. Hakeem goes, yeah, you sure did. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty funny. But Mr. Hakeem was really cool. It didn't matter, it didn't matter if you were the smartest kid or the dumbest kid. He always did what he could to make sure that you got something from his classes. So I appreciated him a lot.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad you had that experience. Who do you want to see on from your old group of people that's available?
From my people, well, Eric Mitchell's going to do it. I know he will because, he's Eric. You probably can't find him, but Tom Jackson, he's in Texas, driving around in that green van. I spent a lot of time in the back of that green van. Would be really cool.
In a good way. We're not going to put your reputation out there. I spent a lot of time in the back.
Yes.
That's where you sat when he drove. I know. I'm just being
nice.
Being nice to your marriage. Not leaving anything lewd. Yeah.
It was a bed. Everybody sat back there.
No, I'm kidding.
Tom, but he's in Texas, and I don't know that you could get a hold of him, but I'd like to hear from Tom, Pam Spencer. Tabitha I did actually live with in Indianapolis after I graduated. We actually hooked back up, and she was my roommate for a while up there. And she's still in Indianapolis, but I don't have any information on her other than Facebook. I'd like to see Charlie and Tony Duffy.
Okay.
The twins. I know one of them is doing race car stuff. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know why. I see them on Facebook all the time. That's why they stick out to me.
You get a Christmas list.
I know. I do. You know what? Tell me something you remember about me. I got something I remember about you. You sat on my suitcase, you and Mark Perkins, so I could get it shut when I moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember partying at your house, and I just got a Benetton shirt because that was like the cool thing to wear, one of those green rugby Benetton shirts, which I was more of a jean jacket wearing guy, but I was like switching it up that year. Like, oh, I'm not getting any girlfriends with this. Let me wear this year. Let me try this. So I'm wearing that, and I got mustard spilled all over my shirt at your house. And I was partying with you guys. It was the summertime. There was some couple from next door, this couple that was married.
Yes.
The blonde gal and the other guy, right? And they were a lot of fun. And then I remember being at your house, and there was two guys. There was a blonde guy who was older guy out of high school, and there was another big Marine that had like a battle axe tattooed on each arm that was there. And he was a Marine that was either stationed there or something, not an Army guy, or he'd been a Marine. And I remember fighting them in your front yard. And they were trying to do karate on me. And one guy's like a huge guy. And he's like, ah! And he's like, and I'd just sidestep and he'd hit a tree. And I'd sidestep and he'd hit another one. He just kept coming and coming. I go, I'm really going to have to really fight this guy. We were just playing around, sparring, but I could tell he was getting agitated. So I'm like, oh, you got me. I just pretended. I'm like, whatever, just shut this guy up. But there was those two guys. Do you remember those two guys I'm talking about?
I think the skinny one was David. If I had to guess, I can't remember his last name, but I don't.
A blonde guy, kind of a Jan Michael Vincent kind of vibe, that actor from that era.
I think his name David, but I don't remember the other guy. I don't remember the Marine. I have a feeling he wasn't a regular, but I don't know. Or he might have been a regular after I left.
Yeah, you guys, we found out finally that you guys lived near Mark Parkins. You guys had one of those
We're not too
interesting.
far away. Yeah.
Yeah, we found it out. Me and Mark and Freddie were down there partying with you guys. And yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I remember.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't get my suitcase shut. Let me tell you, I couldn't get my suitcase shut because everything had to go in that one suitcase. I could only take that one suitcase home on the plane with me. So everything I owned, everything was in that suitcase. And you guys, Kenny, and Mark sat on it so I could get the latches to latch. You know, it was one of those old timey ones.
those little, yeah, yeah.
The latches that latch it. So I get to the airport in New York. And I'm trying to fly to Pennsylvania. My grandfather's meeting me in Pennsylvania. So we land in New York, and I said, I'm going through customs, and the guy tells me he's going to have to open my suitcase. And I said, sir, please don't open my suitcase. I swear to you, I'm not hiding anything in here. But if you open it, we won't get it shut. He goes, oh, I do this for a living. I said, sir, I had 3 guys sit on this to get this to shut. Please don't open it. Scan it, do whatever you. Oh, no. I got to open it. He popped that sucker open. Poof, it exploded. I'm like, oh my God. No, I got to get on another plane, right? So he's trying everything now because there's no sense in looking through it because it was just so full. He is trying to squeeze it shut. Yeah. He ends up having to get rope and tie the sucker shut with rope. And my clothes are like hanging out the sides of it. Yeah, it went from New York to Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Roped
tied
up.
shut with rope.
I'm a professional. They should have used rope. Well, you know, the advanced suitcase packaging, the shrink wrapping of the 10 pounds of clothes. Mark Parkins and I were pretty big dudes, so we definitely got that suitcase shut down.
You did.
And I count on Mark for, you know, sending everybody off. People would call us, listen, we're having trouble getting out of Italy. Can you sit on the suitcase? What's up? No, that was a one-time off. I know we hung out more, and that comes out more as we talk. See, some you know, sometimes things are a blur, but sometimes we will find by listening.
I seem to remember more in passing, almost like you guys were more friends with Kenny than with me. We kind of broke off and did our own
you
thing.
were friends with Jan, and I was friends with her, and it was like she didn't keep a whole group of friends because she was married in high school. So
right,
yeah, you know what I mean. So she wasn't like gonna do high school things and then be a wife. It was like you know what I mean, in the middle.
Right.
She was just working on her credits to get stuff done, and they're still happily married. So can't fault that one. That broke the rule. That broke the rule right there, right?
Right. I know. I showed my daughter a picture of her son, and I said, "You probably should have married him."
Yeah.
Daughter's like, "Mom, he's too young for me." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. Your daughter, you're still trying to marry off your daughters at this point?
My stepdaughter is the only unmarried one. Still, she's a RN. She's more interested in school and doing her medical stuff. So she was valedictorian for her class. She's all school things. She's the only unmarried one.
I get it.
But she's old.
This has been a great podcast, and I'm going to continue rapping after this. So thank you for being on the Cougar podcast. You've been awesome.
All right. Thank you, Annie. It was good talking to you.